According to data from the Homeless Hub, the number of homeless individuals in Canada in any given year typically ranges from 850,000 to 1 million people. However, experts warn that this staggering figure likely fails to capture the full scope of the problem. There are potentially countless more individuals living without a permanent home who simply do not appear in official counts because they are part of the hidden homeless population. This creates a significant gap between the official statistics and the lived reality of millions of Canadians who struggle to secure safe, consistent shelter in a country known for its wealth and social safety nets. To understand the true scale of this issue, one must look at the broader data provided by Statistics Canada, which sheds crucial light on this often invisible demographic. Their comprehensive 2023 survey revealed a shocking statistic. Over 18% of Canadians, or roughly 2.7 million people, have experienced homelessness at some point in their lifetime. This reveals that the crisis is not limited to those currently living on the streets or in shelters. It is a widespread societal issue affecting a vast portion of the population. This indicates a number far greater than those solely relying on emergency shelters, suggesting that housing insecurity is a pervasive threat that looms over millions of households across the nation, challenging the perception of Canadian stability. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of this crisis is the reality of child homelessness. Despite Canada's status as a G7 nation with significant resources, thousands of children lack a safe and stable place to call home. Current estimates suggest that between 45,000 and 50,000 children experience homelessness in Canada each year. It is crucial to note that these numbers generally only reflect those children who are accessing the shelter system. The true figure could be significantly higher if researchers were to account for families couch surfing, living in severely overcrowded conditions, or surviving on the streets without interacting with official systems. This disruption in early childhood development poses severe long-term consequences for the social and economic future of the country. The situation for Canadian youth is equally staggering and paints a grim picture of the future. Statistics point to approximately 85,000 to 93,000 youth, specifically those aged 13 to 24, experiencing homelessness annually. This translates to thousands of young people on any given night seeking refuge in hostels, staying temporarily with friends, or facing the dangers of the streets alone. Even more concerning is the data regarding the onset of this instability. A significant portion of homeless youth, around 40%, experience homelessness before the age of 16. This statistic indicates a profound disruption in their childhoods and points to a systemic lack of secure family environments and support networks for the country's most vulnerable adolescents. Homelessness is indeed a complex issue plaguing many developed nations, and Canada is no exception to this global trend. While the crisis is national, certain cities, particularly the larger metropolitan areas, face a more acute and visible challenge. By examining the 5 Canadian municipalities facing the most significant homelessness challenges, we can better understand the nuances of this epidemic. The narrative begins in Calgary, Alberta. Known for its economic prosperity and stunning natural beauty, Calgary grapples with a persistent and complex social issue. Despite the city's relative wealth, a significant portion of the Calgarian population lives without stable housing, highlighting the disconnect between economic indicators and social welfare. The most recent point-in-time count conducted by the Calgary Homeless Foundation in September 2023 placed the total homeless population at 22,782. When diving deeper into this data, a clear breakdown emerges between sheltered and unsheltered homelessness. In 2022, approximately 44% of Calgary's homeless population, or roughly 10,187 individuals, were sheltered, meaning they utilized emergency shelters, transitional housing, or other official programs. However, the remaining 56%, representing 12,395 people, were classified as unsheltered. These individuals are living on the streets, in encampments, or in other temporary and often dangerous situations. Understanding the demographics within this population is crucial for targeting support. The 2023 count found that 30.1% identified as Indigenous, a significant disparity compared to Calgary's overall demographics. Additionally, 10% were youth aged 13 to 24, highlighting the vulnerability of young people in the city. The gender breakdown showed a higher proportion of males at 66% compared to females at 32%. While pinpointing an exact number is difficult due to the transient nature of homelessness, estimates suggest a concerning reality in Calgary. A 2021 University of Calgary study revealed that over 25% of emergency shelter beds were filled by new individuals each year, indicating a constant inflow of newly homeless citizens. Furthermore, the Calgary Drop-In Center reported a 26% rise in those seeking shelter in 2023 compared to the previous year. To manage the physical manifestation of this crisis, the City of Calgary employs an encampment response team, ERT, to manage the temporary settlements formed by homeless people on public land. The ERT prioritizes the safety of both residents and those experiencing homelessness, with the primary goal of connecting encampment residents with housing options before resorting to enforcement measures. Moving north to Edmonton, Alberta, the scale of the crisis appears even more pronounced in the raw data. The most recent comprehensive data comes from the 2023 point-in-time count conducted by Edmonton's social agencies. This one-day snapshot identified a total of 26,519 individuals experiencing homelessness in the city. This number encompasses a wide spectrum of living situations, including 8,660 individuals staying in emergency shelters, 3,525 in transitional housing, and 1,893 in provisional accommodations. Most alarmingly, the count identified 10,606 people living completely unsheltered. It is important to acknowledge the limitations of these point-in-time (PIT) counts. They offer only a single-day glimpse, potentially missing individuals who recently became homeless or those hesitant to engage with the counters. Additionally, PIT counts often fail to capture the hidden homeless, individuals precariously housed with friends or family who are on the verge of homelessness themselves. Looking beyond the headline figure in Edmonton, the 2023 count sheds light on the specific demographics of the city's homeless population. Indigenous peoples are shockingly disproportionately represented, accounting for 54% of those counted. Youth aged 18 to 24 comprise another significant segment at 11.6%. These demographics highlight the complex social factors, including colonial legacies and economic barriers, that contribute to homelessness in the region. One of the most contested measures in Edmonton is the bylaw prohibiting structures like tents in public spaces. Proponents argue that such structures create sanitation concerns, obstruct public access, and present safety hazards like fires and potential criminal activity. However, critics counter that these bylaws essentially criminalize homelessness, pushing people further into the margins and away from potential resources or support networks. Further east, Montreal, Quebec, faces its own stark reality as a vibrant Canadian metropolis dealing with a significant and growing homeless population. While pinpointing an exact number is historically difficult, the latest data from October 2023 paints a concerning picture. Montreal has the highest number of homeless people in the province of Quebec, with an estimated 27,690 individuals. This figure represents roughly 60% of the province's total homeless population, placing a heavy burden on the city's social services. It is important to acknowledge limitations in these statistics, as homeless counts typically capture those visible on the streets or in shelters on a specific date. This method does not fully account for hidden homelessness, which includes individuals precariously housed with friends or family, couch surfing, or living in unstable situations. Looking back at the historical trends in Montreal, the situation has seemingly worsened in complexity. Data from 2018 suggested Montreal's share of Quebec's homeless population was considerably higher, at 80%. While the overall provincial numbers have risen, the percentage decrease for Montreal might indicate a spread of homelessness to other regions, yet Montreal continues to bear a significant burden. Several factors contribute to this complex issue in the city. Rising housing costs and low vacancy rates make finding affordable housing incredibly challenging for the working class. On the West Coast, Vancouver, British Columbia, presents a situation defined by high numbers and demographic diversity. The most recent homeless count in the city of Vancouver itself identified over 27,041 people experiencing homelessness. This represents a specific snapshot within the city limits. However, a broader perspective is offered by the 2023 Greater Vancouver homeless count. This more extensive survey found a staggering 29,041 people experiencing homelessness across the region, representing a 32% increase compared to 2020. Beyond the raw numbers, the data reveals a breakdown of the nature of this homelessness. The 2020 Vancouver count indicated that 74% were experiencing chronic homelessness, while 26% faced episodic homelessness. This distinction highlights the varying experiences of the population, with some individuals facing long-term, entrenched struggles, while others encounter temporary periods of housing insecurity. Vancouver's ethnic makeup within the homeless population paints a picture of a global city facing a universal crisis. While European Canadians hold the largest share at 46.2%, a significant portion of the population belongs to visible minority groups, totaling 54.5%. The most prominent visible minority groups include Chinese at 27.7%, South Asians at 6%, Filipinos at 6%, and Southeast Asians at 3%. This rich diversity is a legacy of continuous immigration waves, with historical influxes from Britain and Ireland shaping the early demographics. Furthermore, the city leans slightly towards a younger population, with the 25 to 34 age group being the largest. This trend reflects Vancouver's appeal to young professionals and students seeking career opportunities, despite the high cost of living. When it comes to marital status, Vancouver exhibits a trend towards a higher proportion of singles at 36.9%, compared to married couples at 39%, potentially attributed to the city's fast-paced lifestyle and the career focus of its residents. Finally, we look to Canada's largest city, Toronto, Ontario. Point-in-time homeless counts conducted on a specific night offer a snapshot, but often miss those who are hidden or couch surfing. The 2023 Toronto Street Needs Assessment estimated 48,347 people experiencing homelessness. However, frontline organizations like Fred Victor suggest the number could be much higher, potentially exceeding 74,000 individuals. This massive discrepancy highlights the limitations of current data collection methods and the urgent need for more comprehensive tracking. One alarming trend in Toronto is the rise in youth homelessness. Youths aged 16 to 24 comprise around 11% of the homeless population, highlighting the vulnerability of this age group in such an expensive city. Additionally, a significant portion, around 32%, fall within the 45 to 64 age bracket, indicating the challenges faced by middle-aged adults. Seniors experiencing homelessness have also shown a worrying increase, pointing to gaps in the pension and support systems. In Toronto, Indigenous people make up a tiny fraction of the overall population, yet a shocking 23% of the homeless population identify as Indigenous. The hidden nature of this homelessness makes it difficult to quantify its exact prevalence. However, estimates suggest that hidden homelessness in Canada generally could reach as high as 150,000 people on any given night. One key point of contention in Toronto is the definition of anti-homeless laws. While the city lacks an explicit ban on homelessness, certain bylaws and enforcement practices have been criticized for disproportionately impacting the homeless community. When analyzing the demographics of homeless people in Canada as a whole, it becomes clear that while homelessness can strike anyone, some populations are disproportionately represented. A study by Statistics Canada found that 5% of Black Canadians have experienced homelessness, compared to just 2% of the general population. Indigenous peoples in Canada face a staggering disparity in homelessness rates. Though constituting only 4.3% of the general population, they make up a staggering 28% to 34% of the homeless shelter population. Gender also plays a significant role in visibility and safety. Men are more likely to be seen on the streets, constituting roughly 62% of the visible homeless population. However, women may be severely undercounted due to safety concerns and a tendency to seek shelter with friends or family, putting them at risk of hidden homelessness that does not appear in standard counts. The ultimate question remains: can Canada end the homelessness crisis? Homelessness in Canada casts a long shadow over the nation's success. Despite its international reputation for social welfare and high standards of living, the nation grapples with a growing number of citizens living on streets, in shelters, or precariously close to losing their homes. While the challenge seems daunting, experts and advocates believe ending homelessness is achievable. However, it requires a multi-pronged approach with significant social and economic investment. Understanding the root causes of homelessness is the crucial first step. The lack of affordable housing is a primary factor, as declining rental vacancy rates and skyrocketing rents make it difficult for low-income individuals and families to survive. Furthermore, cuts to social assistance programs have left some with insufficient resources to afford even modest accommodations. To truly solve this, Canada must confront both the economic mechanics of its housing market and the social safety nets that fail to catch those falling through the cracks.